Most entrepreneurs are destroying their nervous system without even realizing it. You hit a grind season, you burn out, and then you force a reset, but then you go back to grinding the exact same way that got you there to begin with. And every year, you're supposed to be feeling better and getting better at this, but instead, you feel worse. Now, there's a simpler way to fix this, and it comes down to understanding your body and your nervous system, and you have no idea how to actually do this. This isn't for someone who's just starting out, who's still riding the wave of excitement of starting a new business. This is for someone who's been at it for a while and has fallen into the exact pattern that you see praised online. Grind until you break. Now, here's what nobody's selling you productivity systems online will actually tell you. That this isn't about your discipline anymore. This is about your hormones, your gut health, your nervous system, your mitochondrial efficiency. And odds are you're doing everything backwards because you've been led to believe that to fix this, you simply have to work more, hit more workouts, eat cleaner, do more cardio. But I want you to forget all of that for just a second. And I want you to understand the actual mechanism behind it because your body runs on something that we call the cortisol awakening response. In a regulated system, your cortisol is supposed to spike 30 to 45 minutes after waking up, which is exactly what you need to stay alert, to have the energy to pursue your day. And then it should taper steadily throughout your day so that by the time that you're supposed to sleep, your cortisol is low. And that taper is what lets your melatonin take over at night. But the thing is, under chronic and unmanaged stress, that curve is going to flatten. So your morning spikes get weaker, which is exactly why you wake up groggy in the morning. It's why you're still wired at 11 p.m. despite being exhausted. Now, you're not tired but wired by coincidence, just like your business isn't going to randomly stop scaling by coincidence, just like your close rate doesn't drop by coincidence. This is measurable. And that flattened curve is exactly why grind now and fix it later structurally fails. I mean, a short defined push is completely fine. You need seasons in which you're locked in which your cortisol is going to be spiking so that you can actually get the job done. You can go and move every single day with more intention and more energy. But then once it all comes back down, that pressure is supposed to lift. The problem is that as an entrepreneur, there is no defined endpoint. Every week is treated like a launch week. You have calls every day, you have team meetings, you have people to manage, you have KPIs to hit, and your cortisol never gets a signal that it's supposed to be coming back down. So what happens is it stays elevated for months, not for days. And elevated cortisol does three things to your body. The first thing is it suppresses test production. You know that thing that keeps you driven, the thing that you as a fucking man need to actually thrive? Your body treats reproduction and drive as non-essential when it thinks you're under a constant threat. Secondly, it increases your fat storage, which is once again making you more estrogenic because it converts testosterone into estrogen by an enzyme called aromatase. And it also breaks down muscle tissue for fuel because under sustained stress, your body treats it as an energy reserve and not as an asset. So you can be training as hard as you want and eating as clean as you want, but you are still going to be losing muscle, holding on to more fat, waking up with brain fog, with no energy, with no drive. And that's simply because your hormonal environment is working against everything that you were trying to do. And eventually your body forces the issue. You get sick, you snap at someone that you care about, or you can't even think straight in a meeting that actually matters to you. So what do? You force a reset. You go off grid for a week, you delete all the apps, dating apps, Instagram, all that stuff. Maybe you even go to a body count reset retreat in Bali. But then even while you're there, you still can't fully relax because you don't see time off, as time to focus on what needs to be recovered. You see time off as falling behind because the competition is still going at it. And that's where the real issue lies because you never actually switch off. So the system that regulates your entire cortisol doesn't get to reset either. And a real burnout recovery takes a couple weeks to maybe even a couple months to actually fully reset by consistently deloading your stress. Not 5 days in Bali. But regardless, you come back feeling better, which is exactly what you were looking for. But you mistake that for the issue being fixed. And so you go back immediately to doing the exact same thing that caused you to burn out. And obviously, the curve flattens almost immediately. Now, does that sound like a discipline problem to you? No, because it's not. It's physiological. It's about giving your nervous system enough time to actually regulate and recover. Now that doesn't mean taking weeks and months off of work. Quite the opposite. It means being able to integrate a proper strategy that helps you deload your nervous system while still getting the same work done, if not more. Now, I'm not saying you never get to lock in again. Quite the opposite. There are seasons in which you need to lock in for a new launch to scale your business. But now that's a short and defined push followed by a real recovery strategy. In that time, the cortisol is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. The problem is when even ordinary months get treated exactly like that indefinitely. So how do you actually fix this in real time instead of just waiting for the next burnout or the next crash to understand that something is wrong? Now there's 3 things worth tracking. Firstly is your awakening state. Are you waking up feeling groggy even though you slept for 8 hours? Are you waking up feeling tired? Are you waking up with low focus, with low energy? Are you waking up irritable and crashing out at 9 a.m. on things that you shouldn't even be crashing out on? Now, obviously, if it's just one morning, that's not enough data to understand if that's the actual pattern repeating itself. But if it happens more times than it doesn't, then that becomes a trend and you can actually withdraw data and information from that trend. The second thing is your capacity for sustained and hard focus. Not for the amount of hours that you can sit looking at a screen, for the actual deep work output. Sit down and do that one task that requires your full attention. If that capacity has been shrinking over the past 3 months while your calendar still looks just as packed, if not more, then that's not a discipline problem or your attention span. That's your actual nervous system. And your lack of ability to focus and produce deep work is a downstream of it. Now, the third thing is other symptoms on a daily basis. Like, are you feeling bloated constantly? Are you making progress in the gym? Are you reacting properly to foods? Do you feel rested and energized on a day-to-day basis? Now, if you track those 3 together, you can actually catch the flattening curve while it's still reversible. But now in practice, this is what actually helps you return to normality. And the first thing is improving your circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm is what tells your body when it needs to produce more testosterone, when it needs to spike your cortisol, when it needs to release more melatonin. It's the schedule that your body was biologically built to run on. And so you fix it by these things. Firstly is morning sunlight. Within 60 minutes of waking up, you need to have had at least 10 minutes of sunlight on your skin. Being exposed to that light is going to help you signal to yourself that it's time to wake up. It's going to help you spike your cortisol to actually be alert, focused, and intentional about your day. And this is simply because your eyes have photoreceptors that anchor your circadian rhythm. Second thing is hydrate before you have your first coffee. Push your first coffee 90 minutes after waking up. Because if you have coffee right when you wake up, you're already stimulating yourself on top of your cortisol, which is another stimulator. And that's exactly why your energy ends up crashing at 2 p.m. So instead, what to do between those first 90 minutes is hydrate with water and electrolytes. Then also cut caffeine by early afternoon, because the 2 p.m. coffee is still going to be in your system working by 8 p.m. And it's working, but it's working directly against the evening taper that you are trying to protect. Thirdly is watch the sunset and have blue light blockers after sundown. What happens is at sunset, the atmosphere filters out most of the blue light and you're no longer signaling to yourself that it's time to wake up. So after sundown, have blue light blockers on. What this does is it helps block the blue light, not from the sun, but from the screens, from the lights you have at home. Because if you are still exposed to blue lights, even after the sun is down, you're signaling to yourself that it is still daytime and you are delaying the melatonin response. So simply wear these and you'll start to feel it on a daily basis. Your eyes are going to get heavier. You're going to prone yourself better to wind down for your sleep. Now, second thing is focus on your sleep quality, not just on your sleep time. You can sleep 8 hours and wake up feeling like ass, and you can sleep 6 hours and you wake up feeling so much better. Now, ideally, you need to be having at least 7 hours of sleep, but having a proper wind down routine is going to help you do that so much more efficiently. Having your room exposed to cold is going to help you experience a temperature drop, which is what your body needs to prone itself once again for sleep. Having some supplements, some magnesium, some tart cherry, bioperine, apigenin, L-theanine. This is exactly what I take. I simply get it from 8 hours. It just helps me achieve a deep sleep state so much faster, and it helps me stay there so much longer as well. Third thing is train less. Not with less intensity, but less often. Because training spikes your cortisol, and that's normal, that's fine, that's what it does. But the thing is, once it spikes cortisol in a nervous system that is already overloaded from the cortisol from work, you're not adding fitness to your life. You're adding more load to an already maxed out system. So what happens is your training isn't working properly, and then your performance at work and every other area of your life also takes a massive hit. So keep it to 3 to 4 sessions a week, 45 to 60 minutes, and use the rest days to focus on recovery. Then focus on meals that help you heal your hormones. Have good fats, have red meat, have livers, have oysters, have foods that will help you heal your gut health. Your gut health is one of the other things that helps you regulate your nervous system, and your nervous system helps regulate your gut health as well. Now, if you want to know exactly how to do that, I have other videos on that already. And the last thing is build a moment of stillness, a moment of presence, whether that's walks after your meal to improve your digestion, whether that's waking up in the morning and meditating, journaling, breathing, allowing yourself to actually be present, focus, and control your breathing, directly activate your vagus nerve, which is exactly what's going to shift you out of sympathetic state and into parasympathetic state. So basically getting you out of a fight or flight state. Now, this is the exact system that not only I use, but that I use for every single entrepreneur who comes to me feeling burnt out, running on empty with low energy, can't even sleep properly. I use these exact systems to help them. And the difference that they start to feel isn't within a couple of months, it is within days. So I've helped them rebuild their nervous systems, their hormones, their ability to perform in business, and their physiques as well. So if you're already training hard, eating well, but you're still storing fat, you're still losing strength, you still feel foggy in the mornings, you still can't focus in your business, then this is usually why. And it's not something another supplement or another mentor is going to help you fix. Now, if you actually want to dig deeper into it, your blood work, your hormones, your nervous system, your mitochondrial efficiency, your circadian rhythm, I want to offer you a free audio call in which I help you break down exactly what's happening to you, what your bottlenecks are, and exactly how that's impacting you and your business. Because think about it, the founders who have scaled to 7, 8 figures are likely undergoing more stress than you are. But the difference is the ones who aren't burnt out simply understood not how to have less stress, but how to manage it better. So if you actually want to fix the mechanism instead of waiting for the next burnout or crash to come, the link is below. And that's it, boys. I'll see you in the next video.